Great. Hello world, Podlayer team back at it again. We're doing some more of the track 2 voicing work. That's where you take the various principles of Podlayer and break them down into nice bardic beat sizes so they can be easily transmitted, usually around a minute or so. And then there are various theme sections. Right now we are in an advanced one, which is the About Yourself section, breaking down the various parts of your heroic journey so far and where one plans to go, again, in that bardic beat format. Okay, so I am Nai Coach. With me I have Nai Ben, and go ahead and tell us what you've been doing.
Cool. So I've been doing two things since. I'm covering the sample surfer, right? And I'm doing not the beats, or is right now, or is
Oh, I misunderstood, but yeah, I thought you meant actually about your beats, but you're talking the sample surfer. That's fine. Yeah, totally. We can go ahead and do that first. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So I've been there's two things I've been working on with the website. One is the sample surfer, and another is the TV and movies portion of the site. I figure probably be good to start with the sample surfer, and then we can go from there. So let's see here, sample surfer with GTour. Right. So this is the on the side here. You'll see we have all of the first 8 tours. And what I did is I just basically took the first section and I go ahead.
Am I supposed to be seeing this?
Oh, do you not do? Oh, sorry, I didn't screen share. I thought I had it up, but I guess I turned it off. My bad. Okay, there we go. So on the left-hand side, you can see we have the first 8 tours, and this is just the first block of items that I found in the Excel file, and I just basically put it into the program, and it is on the left-hand side. I was thinking for that, one thing we could possibly do is have it so like we have like different groups of tours or tutorials, and maybe I can like add like on the sidebar a navigation between like the sections. Like this G1A thing that was in the Excel file can be like the first section, and then there could like the next one could be after that. And we could of course change the names to whatever we want and so forth. You can also see that I have just the single G button for the GTour. So I made that change so you can actually I can actually customize which buttons show up while also customizing the alchemies. So this collage has, for example, it has all of the G mojos. I'm guessing what we'll probably do is not really have like a randomized cross section like we do with the desktop version for this, but probably actually select which samples we'll use for each tour.
Yeah, probably we can get to that. I'll be meeting you there as soon as I can. I need to get better pictures. I'm still running through that. Have a lot of the literals still to go. Once I do that, I'm going to go back for another full pass where I'm going to grade the media. And so that will put them into A, B, C, and D ordering. And then from there, I'll also go on to do other things like, different careers and ethnicities and other kind of factors like that. But from the A samples, the A media samples, probably will make some A pluses. And the A pluses will be used in the, survey and initial tours and such. That makes sense?
Nice.
How it can be random or whatever, or however you want to do it, but it'll be a pre-selected best selection.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that should be pretty. That'll be really cool to have. And you can see I also I fixed the lag, so no longer is there going to be like this white thing that comes up when you switch images. It's basically instantaneous, like the desktop version. And then this is just the score. I didn't answer any of the samples, so it gave me 0%. And for this, we'll probably not really want like this quiz screen. We'll probably want something else.
The tour,
right now it just says it's a quiz just because it has the button. But I can make this like say something else.
Yeah, because it shouldn't be a quiz. It just should be a tour, and would only have Gmojos in there.
Yeah, yeah. It only has Gmojos, but yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I'll be starting in a little while sending over to you more backgrounds, and this background here will be updated where it has more scale, so it's a little more rich looking.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and do you have any suggestions as far as like the sidebar or like maybe other stuff we may want at this on the screen besides like a because right now we have like a I mean I'll remove like the score and stuff, but besides like a forward and like a restart button, is there anything else we want here that you know sounds like it'd be good? Or
yeah, that sounds good for right now, and I'm thinking also you'll take out the word quiz, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'll take out the word quiz for sure.
Perfect. Okay, so what I'm thinking that should be.
In fact, I'll probably just have it say G2 complete or something.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I think that's good for now, but I can tell you what I'm thinking eventually. But I think that would be great for a while. Is once we get this more further down the line, we got all these background screens done. You know, a lot of this kind of like initial kind of work is done. One thing I like to do is like start talking more about the narration or the scripting of it, and so I'm imagining sort of we'll make some decisions then, some artistic decisions and some technical decisions about how we want to have that communicated to them while the tour is happening, right?
Yeah, because there are a lot of ways we could do that for sure.
Right, and so once we get to where we're doing that, I think whatever this last page's more final look will be based on that, because we're basically giving them like some sort of like text box or audio ride with the tour, and so it'll kind of like continue, or it'll give a closure to that. That's what we'll use that for.
Yeah, yeah, and I think with this stuff, like what I noticed like myself is like when I'm making these kind of like programs and stuff, is initially it can be kind of like it can feel a little bit like hard to tell like what should be added next just because of the complexity of the plan. But like I notice like sometimes like it just like as but like as pieces are like sort of added into it, you kind of get a better idea of like what else you can add. Yeah,
that's why like any kind of massive world game, you want to just sort of see where does your interest and abilities initially lie, and just go get ground. Go be successful, because right now I have a lot of screens to give you. You have different things you're doing. You know what I mean? So like Glenn's working about 2 or 3 different visuals. So we have some things like, okay, we definitely want that. And then once we get it and we look at it, I think it'll kind of open up at ourselves what are some.
Yeah, it'll open up like new like pathways of things we may we may feel more strongly about doing with the program.
Yeah, totally. So yes, that's my plan. Is this looks great. One thing, can you go back a screen? Please?
So yeah, so
or restart it. It's fine.
Oh, restart? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So because I wanted to look at the button. Okay. So with the button, the square box looks a little, just in general, looks great. It's like the basics of it, but the square box to me looks a little jarring.
I see. A little too square maybe, or
yes, what I'm thinking is perhaps we can have the softer look that you were doing with the.
Yeah, just like slightly rounded edges, kind of.
Yeah, and I'm not saying necessarily have the exact thing, but something to try. Maybe try 2 different ways. Yeah, next time try like 2 different ways. One, you can do whatever you want, and another one you can imitate this, which is how you have them like sort of like rounded bullets or something for. Yeah, try like the rounded bullet, because that would keep continuity, because 2 things jarred me here. One, the sharp edges jarred me, but not just that. There was another jarring, which is it didn't seem related to the buttons I'd seen so far.
Yeah, because these definitely are different than the because what I did initially, like with the Mojos, is I did that because like it kind of looked like a portrait, but I think like I could do the same thing here because there's Yeah. Um,
I think would be softer just visually on the eye, like V, but then also like Nye, it seems like, oh, I get it. Like they changed what's in the button, but these are of that same button family. It feels continuous.
yeah, yeah, I think that's cool because it's kind of like, and it's like the same principle of there's like a caption at the bottom, and that's like it's a little bit like flatter at the bottom, but like at the top it's rounder, and that's like where the image is. So it's kind of
So that'd be good. Yeah.
yeah.
What else? Oh, still wondering, because we do have two of the powers are pink and red. Is there a way to add opaqueness to red that makes it more muted? Because we want to be like make it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I haven't tried that yet, but I think I can definitely experiment with some stuff and show you the result of that.
So there's two things there. One is for everything, and one's specifically for Jai and G. So for everything, I'd like to actually have like 4 grades. Fully bold exposed, natural, and then like completely opaque or white, and then have like a quarter opaque, half opaque, 3/4 opaque.
So just like different levels of opaqueness, basically, or
Yes, those 5 gradients. So
okay,
no opaqueness, a quarter opaque, half opaque, 3/4 opaque, completely opaque.
okay, yeah, definitely, I can do that.
Okay, so that's for all of them. Then particularly for G and Ja, and I guess really mainly G, is there a way to opaque G so that it doesn't look pink?
I think so. I can experiment with different stuff, and I can probably make it look a little bit better, a little bit less pink.
Cool. But yeah, I think this looks really cool.
Yeah, because there's different ways like I can make it look more transparent. Like the way I'm doing it now, there's actually a layer of partially opaque white over the background, and that's why it looks a little bit pinker.
Right.
But I could also try, for example, not having that layer of white, but just making like the background itself more opaque, and maybe that'll kind of like, make it look a little bit, it maybe a little bit like not as standoutish, but also not quite as pink as otherwise would be possibly.
Right. Yeah, because you think about like, if this makes sense, what I'm thinking is like, how when you look through like a frosted glass window or something, if there's like a Coca-Cola machine on the other side.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
but it shouldn't look. That's how it should look. Which is, if you look through the glass, it doesn't look pink. It just looks soft, blurry red. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what we want, soft and blurry without making red look pink.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Is that what that frosting be? Would that be almost like a gray or something that was the sheet color? I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think what'll end up happening is we'll probably find like another way of doing transparency that that makes G look a little bit better. Because there's definitely different things I can play around with.
Nice. Okay, so what else comes to my mind here? Not that I want to use it, but I'd like to experiment it because there's a risk of actually being too blingy and distracting from the cues, because the cues are quite subtle. So we have to make sure we don't do that, which is why we, probably teach that, when you're learning what they are, it can be helpful to have the colors more exposed. But then when you're trying to quiz, you want to make it more opaque so you can concentrate in better. But with that said, I am curious, perhaps just for the tours, what borders on the pictures would look like.
Oh yeah. So having them more like, kind of like the card style look that I have on other parts of the website, or
yeah, just see what that looks like.
Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. Would you do you think it would look good if we had two like a border for each picture, or like maybe a border for like the whole thing? I mean, for like both pictures.
I think a border for each picture would be better.
Okay. And it would be just a border. It wouldn't be like a whole background. It would be just like a frame, I guess.
Yeah, just a frame.
Yeah, we could experiment with that.
So yeah, just curious on that. Cool. Okay, that's great. Last thing before we move on is I was wondering on the desktop one, will the word gender be moved from Mojo over to the actual gender drop-down menu?
Oh yeah. I think yeah. So just saying mojos instead of gender mojos.
Right, and then over where you drop down, you choose what you want.
Oh yeah. Move it over there. Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Okay, perfect. Great.
Yeah. I have a lot of stuff I could I can push over with the desktop version. Right, I could like update with the desktop version. I've kind of been waiting to update it because I've been because I design like all of those like button layouts and stuff. So I was thinking of like maybe waiting until we get some of those in, but before like updating it. But
gotcha. Okay. Whatever works out. I just
but yeah, definitely. The next time I update the program, I'll do that.
Cool beans. Okay. This looks great. Look forward to see what we do next. And I gave Glenn some ideas for 4 power buttons. You know, for things like directive. You know, where you have all 4 of the directive powers.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does with that.
Nice.
Okay.
And then, oh yeah, so I think we're good on the sample surfer. I wanted to also show you the stuff I've been doing with TV and movies because it's really quite something what we have now.
Please do.
We have a profile page for like 400,000 TV and movies now. I can search any TV show, any movie, and then click on profile page, and it'll give me like a good like description of everything, and then also give me like the full cast and crew, and then everyone who's been read, what their mojos are. So, for example, if I search like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I click on it. So I right up here we have the title, a brief description, a trailer, the genres, and some other detailed information. And then you scroll down here and you get the full cast, well, the full main cast, and their mojos, and then you get the crew as well, and whoever has been read from that.
Question: how deep will the cast go?
I can go much deeper than this. Right now, this is like the database I'm connected to. It has this for like the show overall, but I can like go into like the TV seasons and the TV episodes and look at the cast for those and like pull them. So
yeah, that'd be really that would be awesome. Couple questions on this. This is really great, Ben. Two that come to my mind. One is, can this be done where you can choose to do it as a quiz?
Oh yeah, so basically take a quiz on members of various TV shows and stuff. Oh yeah, I can do that.
So that's awesome. The next question I had is like making a list, because that's one thing Shailene and I were doing. We were planning to do it anyway, and we made a list, and so kind of curious how you could implement this for us. Is we want to do a quiz for ourselves, and I think it'd be fun for the team, and I'm sure everyone would want to do this themselves. We basically wrote down all the shows that we currently watch. And a lot of these we've seen the latest season already, and so we're waiting for the next season to come out. But we're basically talking about shows that we are currently watching. So either we're currently watching this season now, or we've watched the season already that's out, but the show is still running, meaning there's more to come. Of those, we had like 40. There's like 40 of them, and we were like wondering if we could like type in somehow the 40 shows that we're into right now, and then have like a quiz made from that list that would have everyone that's been read from those shows in a quiz together.
Oh yeah, so you type in shows that you've been watching and then make a quiz based on those shows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
I think that would be hot. That'd be really hot.
because I what I did is I basically like the way that I got these mojos here is I basically I pulled like I basically took like all the people we have in our database and I just like ran like searches like automatically. I just made a program that just like searches their database and I just took like the people that came up and then I connected them. So like if we have like a show like and I can make like you know a little program that that converts those shows to like the people in their database, which are connected to the people in our database. So that basically means that I can make quizzes and stuff with that stuff too.
That'd be cool. 'Cause
So
I think, I mean, whenever I think of like, you know, teaching like a new person or something, one of the things that people just tend to do naturally, so the easiest ways is that they watch shows or movies, is to kind of say like, what ones you watching now or you watched recently, and boom, you know what I mean? Kind of show, you know, how the math lines up with faces they already know well.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of power and potential for doing that stuff.
Nice. Plus, you have some popular mega quizzes like, for example, like Marvel Universe. That's getting big. You know what I mean? Like everyone who's ever been in any of the Marvel movies.
Yeah. We could group those all together too.
That'd be fun. Yeah, you have your own ones you make, or you have like themed ones. Very nice.
Yeah, and I have a lot more. I have access to a lot more than just this stuff. Like I have like these genres right here.
Mm-hmm.
I can group these, like I can search by genre, you know, and pull like everyone from a specific genre and do that quite easily. And I can make it so like people can search by any of these things and come up with all these different shows and stuff. So
I have a really good way to, because people already know people from their shows. They spend a lot of hours watching them. So I think that would be one of the first things we, you know, people can try out is to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since the acting bubble is so big. That's a way to make it a little smaller, is just starting with shows you've seen, movies you've seen.
Yeah, I think that it's a good starting point. And it's nice, I think, because like I included also like, because I was thinking about like how much information I want to like show at the top here. And I guess I was thinking like having a nice blowout at the top is good, but it's also good to like expose like this cast area down here. So like when you land on this page, like you see like all this information, it's really beautiful. But then you can still also see the cast on the page, so you know like scroll down and stuff.
Question.
So
could you do this? If you, I don't know if you have more, if you go back to the top, if you have more good text stuff that could go up there, is there perhaps you could actually, for example, after what you've done so far, that's up there right now, have like a link that says more. If they click on it, maybe gives them like a little bit more, but it doesn't actually take away from the visual when you come on.
Yeah, I could probably do that. Yeah, and there isn't like a whole lot more information. There is more like images and videos and stuff, but I think that would be perhaps you know. But yeah, like any content that you know, maybe if we want to expose more of,
this looks awesome. Particularly if your purpose is what we're doing here, which is to teach them Mojo. This is enough for context. So we don't overwhelm them with like media from the movie. You know what I mean? To where that becomes the primary distracting thing. It's there for context. So there's enough text there. You got the video. You got the picture of there, different people. And so it's like, okay, that's what this is we're talking about. And then the meat of it is this education, this teaching of what. That's the real star of what's going on.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited because like
that's really
great. Because like there's like 60,000 shows in here, but then there's like 330,000 movies. It's like it's just so crazy like how much stuff that they. So for example, if I search Django Unchained, you know, like let's see here. You have like a log line up here, and then you get like the full cast, like everybody.
This is awesome.
It's like, and this is cool too. So because like if we're ever wondering, like, I'm not sure if this will be useful to you, Coach, but like if you have like movies you like, you can like go to this page and like quickly see which people have been read and which ones haven't.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. This
yeah.
is fantastic. Yeah, so like this would be fun just to study, but I'd also like to be able to take a quiz on it, and I'd like to be able to make like a big quiz based on a certain selection of shows that I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
You said that was possible?
Oh yeah. So making like a big quiz based on shows you're interested in, for sure.
Yeah. This is great. Yes, and you're right. This is very helpful to kind of click around shows and then just sort of see who we have and who we don't.
Yeah, and down here, it also has the crew, so you can see like Quentin Tarantino right here, and then there's some other people down here. There's like some thanks to certain people like Joseph Gordon-Levitt and some other people. So, Lady Gaga. There's some composers that show up here too, which is kind of cool. But yeah,
very cool. That's great.
Nice. All right. I feel pretty good about this. Do you want to move on to?
Yeah, that's been great to play with. So I was kind of seeing how we're going to bring it together here. We're going to have. Yeah, probably the next thing is you might want to try is looking into images that we could use for backgrounds for careers. Because it looks like for movies and TV, we're going to actually have this. This is great. This is awesome. Then for the powers, the energy fields, the mojos, and all the alchemies, the colored scaled screens, teaching card style. I'm doing that should handle all of that. And then so then it's careers. That's the other kind of like riddle as far as what the background will look like. Because this one has a great background. It looks like it's all set as far as that is concerned.
Yeah. And that's something that's really cool is I can like that they have backgrounds for basically, well, not all of their movies, but like all of the big ones like have backgrounds already in there. So I can just use their stuff from as far as like movies and TV shows are concerned.
Perfect. Yes. So the last riddle of that is how we're going to do backgrounds for career bubbles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can make backgrounds like just like this one, where it covers the whole screen, and it when you scroll down, it still stays like that for any page.
Nice.
So yeah,
that sounds great. This looked really strong. So now it's trying to see that arc, start building it out, and then we can start playing through the levels together. That is so cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, and start doing that. Like I said, I need to kind of get to data bedrock, which I think I'm getting really close to now with all these new pictures. Then I'm going to go in and try to pull out some more pendings to make that even a little bit bigger, but really, really tight. And then I'm going to, like I said, go through and start grading them. And that will start giving us what we need for the initial one. Because just like the last quiz we took, it's a big difference between samples. You know what I mean? Like telling apart Nijai and Nizai, it's a big difference. Depends on what samples you're talking about. Certain samples are A samples. They leap out what the answer is. Other ones, they make it much more challenging.
Yeah.
So once I grade everything, that'll give us a nice 4-tier progression system as far as just sample overall difficulty.
Yeah, I think that'll really help. That'll be really useful.
And as much as we can for all these initial tours and tutorials, I don't know how this will work out, but what I'm thinking is generally is trying to get like the best 1,000 and use that 1,000 to kind of populate all those initial quizzes. And then people can kind of blow out from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do that. Is just like find like just grabbing like all of your best stuff, and then like you can figure out like which individually would be good for different things.
It's really one of the days, one of our sessions, we should do a little talk about tracking just as far as principles, because kind of like other things like climbing and so forth, diving. I don't do them myself, but I like understanding them and listening to things about them, because the metaphors are very strong for what we do. So yeah, I kind of feel like here it's tracking and trying to teach someone. You have to give them the clearest prints you can and then you start showing them ones that are a little more challenging. You know what I mean? But it does remind me sort of like there's like an impression. In this case, the tracks almost come up from inside the you know, say the Nijai nest, the Jaini nest, whatever it is. It's animating the face. It's leaving like an imprint. It's leaving its quality imprint on it. But some faces, they show that just like certain terrain shows tracks easier. Certain faces just show that imprint of the qualia a bit more cleanly, easier to see for a beginner.
Yeah, yeah. Certain ones are just easier for people to see. They just have like physical qualities that and just have an energy that is much more typical of what you would expect. Because I mean, there's always going to be cases where you know, it's going to be easier. It's kind of like, you know, Ring Mojo. It's kind of, you're kind of like clustering, you know, your virtual village. Like the center, there's like the center of the cluster, and like there's gonna be like a lot of that mojo that look very similar to that. You know what I mean? Right. But then you get further out where there's gonna be, you know, cases that are a little bit less typical, but still are that design. So I guess what we're looking for is like people who are like really close to the center. They're just like the most typical examples of that design we can find.
Yeah, and sometimes typical, but also I would say they stand out. Sometimes there's like even ones that like they like really like announce themselves. They make it very, you know, kind of like a track. It's the lines are very clean, whereas other times it's more challenging because you know, whatever various, you know, light factors or just, you know, everyone has different physiology.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's like an exaggeration of the things you want to look for.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's always a modifier for every region of the face. Mm-hmm. There's a modifier whether or not in two aspects of that, sort of like universal and personal. Universally, does that add a challenging to it, or does it actually make it a little easier? And then for you personally, because of your life experiences and faces you're used to looking at and so on, is it easier or harder to see that sample?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like sometimes it's more of a personal thing, but I think a lot of times it's also more of like just people tend to have more difficulty with seeing different features on certain people.
So I don't. Do you need screen share anymore, or can we?
Oh yeah, I can turn. You know, yeah.
Hey, Charlene.
Hey, Charlene.
Hey, Ben.
Alrighty, so what you got going on for your beats?
Nice. So what I did is I made an intro beat and I made an outro beat, and that brings me right up to 36 beats. So
excellent.
I can probably just like after I finished going through the intro and outro, I can probably just like start running through the whole thing.
Oh, let's do that. That sounds fun.
Oh, do you want me to just like do it right now that I have 36 beats, or like?
Is that if
or do we want to go over like the intro and outro individually first?
No, that's what I thought we would. We do intro and outro, and then if that's all good to go, then we can try doing our first full.
Oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. Nice. So let's see here. It's funny. The email got like I've been saving these beats in email format to myself, and the email got so long that it's like Google has to open a separate page for me to view it. But let's see here. All right, so intro beat. I am a self-taught seeker of highest truth, a programming artisan, political enthusiast, gaming enthusiast, and statistics nerd. I am also an unemployed workaholic. When I'm not in school, the vast majority of my days are spent either learning about a skill set or directly using it for one of the many projects that I'm pioneering. I'm a perpetual seeker of new skills and abilities that can be used for my craft.
That's the intro.
Yep.
Nice. Very nice.
All right, and then outro. I am a developer with a long road ahead of me. I've accomplished much in the past year, but I am only just getting started. I have my whole career ahead of me and a long life to live serving the heroic cause of Pod Lair. I will continue to dedicate myself to producing legendary artifacts of artwork and engineering and channel this into expanding the power and scope of our research project and outreach ops as much as possible along the way.
Boom. Awesome.
Good.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, that does it.
Good.
Nice. Okay, so if you're ready, why don't you go and read through it? If you want, you might want to plan on having it, maybe you do already, where you can edit it, and feel free to do little edits as you go. I find that's often helpful as I read out. It does just naturally kind of like, ooh, I could say it like this or that, and that's fine, and that's good.
Yeah, I think that's definitely very useful. It's kind of be able to make little notes in the moment and changes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So it takes a while to get through it the first time, doing it this way. That's totally fine. That means you're getting nice little massages in there. So it's okay if it takes a little while to go through it. And what tends to happen is each time you go through it, it gets a little faster and the things you adjust get a little smaller often. Although every now and then a biggie will turn up down the road. But usually as you do it, it gets you can go through it faster and little adjustments. And then you're like, okay, it's time to perform it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So with all that said, do you want to go ahead and start trying to step it out?
Sure, it sounds good.
Okay, Mitchell.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Heather Mitchell.
What's that, Mitchell?
I was just having computer issues.
Oh, no worries. So we're being joined by Naiji Mitchell. Just to catch up real quick, Mitchell, is Ben was going over some cool stuff, new stuff with the Sample Store program and how it can link into the TVs and such. I think you mentioned something about that, Mitchell. And he was giving me this really cool, very, very cool. And so, hopefully we'll do even more of that and quizzes and so forth down the line. And we're getting to where the kind of background look of it, the structure of it, we're getting some good ideas of how it's going to go from first gear powers to fields to mojos to alchemies and then to these career bubbles and specialty things. I think it's going to be everything's looking really tight. So last thing Ben is going to start looking on is how we do backgrounds for the career bubbles. So look forward to that. And then he did his intro, outro, and now he was going to start walking out his arc from start to finish.
Nice.
One thing is then, Mitchell, I know, what is it you have to share and what is it you're looking to do today? Just give me an idea.
So yeah, I did 2 new beats, maybe brushed up on the other ones, and so yeah, I just have 4 beats now.
Okay. In that case, okay, Ben, we'll go ahead and do yours, but I don't know how long yours is going to take, and I don't want to rush it. So what we'll do is we'll just let it be what it's going to be, but then I'll make sure I send spare some time at the end for Mitchell. And if we get to that point, I'll just go ahead and say we'll pause there and we'll pick up on it next time. Because this first walkthrough of your arc sometimes tends to be a slow one the first time through, as your first full walkthrough. That's totally fine. So we may do like a part 1 today and a part 2 next time. Sound good?
Okay, sure, that sounds good.
All right, take it away.
All right. I am a self-taught seeker of highest truth, a programming artisan, political enthusiast, gaming enthusiast, and statistics nerd. I'm also an unemployed workaholic. When I am not in school, the vast majority of my days are spent either learning about a skill set or directly using it for one of the many projects that I'm pioneering. I am a perpetual seeker of new skills and abilities that can be used for my craft.
Is that B1?
Yep, that is B1. That is the intro.
One thing I'm thinking, having heard a second time, and particularly after having heard your outro, a lot of times it's good to have some sort of touchback between the intro and the outro. So with the outro, you mentioned your cause is Pod Lair, and so forth. So obviously in your arc, you explain a lot of what that is in the various projects. But I'm thinking there might be some foreshadowing you would want to put in the intro, and I'm thinking it'd be very small, but it's this. In your project, as you mentioned, you kind of give a good like idea of your hero in general, but since you have such a particular interest with Podlair and what it's doing in human qualia, I'm wondering if the term human qualia or your interest in that, do you mean?
Yeah. I think I can probably just throw that in the first sentence.
Yeah. And so that's just sort of like, later on, feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I did say that, or you can use yourself, like, remember I said I'm into human qualia, and then you can kind of like build on that. But that's like you put it in there, that's an area of keen interest.
Yeah. Sure. Sounds good. I'll just put that, because I'll just make a quick comment.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. When I was very little, I had a very vivid imagination that became progressively more difficult to openly connect and relate with others, my family included, as time went on. Around and before the age of 8, I was a very energetic, silly kid who was mostly comfortable talking about the things that I liked and was into. However, I was also acutely secretive about certain things, for example, TV shows, to an almost paranoid degree. This aspect of myself, not wishing to share myself with other people, only expanded from here.
Is that the end of the beat?
Yes.
Cool. So ET's Mitchell, if you need to do with your own headspace, Mitchell, for what you have coming up, then please do that first. But if you don't need to do that, then you can kind of like just note anything that you might want to give Ben feedback for in his beats. Okay. For myself, that sounded great, Ben. One thing I was a little confused on, and it seemed important, is paranoia about the TV shows. If you could give me just like 2 words to explain what that meant, you know what I mean, to link those two together. You're paranoid about TV shows. I'm wondering, like, in what way? I don't quite understand. Do you know what I mean? It can be very short, but like, what does that mean?
Well, it's
paranoid about telling people what you're watching.
I was saying I was acutely secretive.
Right. Okay. Secretive. Sorry. Then.
I'll restate the sentence, and then I guess we can get. Yeah. So, however, I was acutely secretive about certain things. For example, TV shows, to an almost paranoid degree.
Okay. So right there. Okay. Yeah. So, secretive about TV shows. I think I know what you might mean, but I am not sure. Do you mean you were secretive about people knowing you're watching them? Or secretive in that you did? Okay. If that could be clarified just a little.
What else were you thinking as far as that?
Yeah, I don't know what else I was thinking, but that didn't seem immediately clear to me. I guess what I was wondering is like secretive about. I guess maybe I was wondering also if that meant certain shows or in general.
No, just in general. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think like how I could word that or clarify that.
I think read this to me again.
Oh, sorry.
Could you read that sentence again that has this?
Oh, sure. However, I was also acutely secretive about certain things. For example, TV shows, to an almost paranoid degree.
Okay, so for example, instead of just TV shows, what shows I was watching?
Yeah, that's probably better.
I can easily visualize that now. That before my vision was a little not sure if I might be misinterpreting.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's good clarification. All right. Cool. Let's see here. All right, so one major challenge that I had growing up was that because of my dad's change of work, I had to move and leave my school and friends multiple times. Once when I was 8, the other when I was 12 to 13. On top of this, within the same time range, there were several psychological issues that multiple members of my family had, which I was previously unaware of. This had the negative impact of making me dramatically more disassociated from the world than I had been previously. And that's another beat.
Okay, this sounds really good. One thing I'm wondering is, again, maybe just a little clarification on, I think it's implied, but it might be good to state it a little bit here. Why you disassociated? Was it because you because I could see it being two ways. Are you saying you dissociated from the world because you thought that your family was strange, you were strange too, and it made you feel strange to the world? Or when you say world, are you actually including your family in that and saying that you were dissociated from them to some degree because finding out that about them, you wanted to separate yourself from it? You see, that those two ideas that come to my mind. Which one is even more you're talking about?
I actually don't know for sure, but I know that I dissociate. I'm not exactly sure why exactly. I've been thinking about this a lot for most of my life, but or at least for a long period of time, maybe not most, but
yeah. Ask a question.
Yeah.
About that is, would this word be acceptable to you? Without saying why necessarily, but this could be a why on its own. But just by itself, would you say that it unsettled you?
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
good. So we don't have to say exactly why it unsettled you, but it did. So that could be the reason for the dissociation or attachment, which is that, so, you found out the mental illness, which unsettled you, causing me to withdraw, or however you word it, dissociate.
Okay, cool. I just threw that in there. This was unsettling and had the negative impact of making me dramatically more disassociated from the world than I had been previously. When I lived in Arizona, there were two friends that I had a really close bond to at the time, Tarek and Joey. Our friendship developed quickly, and we soon became like the Three Musketeers. We laughed and joked constantly on the playground, went over to each other's houses and played games, ate lunch together. We saw each other every day and had great chemistry. While a lot of the details are hard to remember at this point, some of the closest companionship I've had was with these two guys. This taught me what it was like to have people I could really bond with without much of any worry or social anxiety possession. I feel like I missed out on having more of this growing up.
Two things, small. One is the word possession. I don't know, since this is intended for someone you kind of introducing to you, they may not be familiar or comfortable with that wordage. So perhaps the word issues, you could use.
Yeah, I think that's good. It keeps it a little more vague, I guess. Social anxiety issues, yeah.
The other thing is, it was clear at the end, but it felt like it ended a little short. Could you read the last sentence?
Maybe I should read the last two sentences, just because it's a sentence that kind of piggybacks off the previous sentence, I guess.
Right. You're good.
This taught me what it was like to have people I could really bond with without much of any worry or social anxiety issues. I feel like I missed out on having more of this growing up.
I feel like, that's its own sentence, correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay, I think it sounds just a little short. It's good. A little short and a little down. So I think if you just add a little fragment to the end about maybe like, so that's why that friend, those early friendships meant so much to me. Do you mean? Because the beat is about the bond you have with these friends, and then the last sentence is saying you did not have that bond growing up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. But I think
So-
the message is saying something a little bit different than that, right?
Okay. Like please illuminate me.
Well, I mean, it is saying that it was significant, but I think, like the desire, like that I missed, I missed, like not the longing for that connection that I didn't have. I think it's important to me, you know.
The longing for that connection is.
Yeah, and feeling like I missed something. I mean, that's kind of. I mean, it's like, yeah.
So do you want to end with that then? 'Cause that still gives like a drive to it. So you have like, you said you feel like you missed on that growing up, and then maybe it's like say like, so that's why, and whatever you want to say there. So that's why I like that so much, or that's why I long for those kinds of friendships, or. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I was saying for myself.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking. Yeah, maybe. Like
You don't have to say anything. You don't have to. I'm curious what Mitchell might feel on this as well. For me, that last sentence, it was.
it's kind of a long beat currently. I'm not sure if I want to add any more to it. I mean, maybe I could like remove something earlier on and then add something to the end, or.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll write that down and think about it. Think about what I may want to do there.
Can I tell you how it influenced me, and then you can do whatever this information that you want. But I was on an arc that felt like I got a general theme of this bonding.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last sentence I felt like perhaps was of a different arc or a different theme of not having it or something. I don't know, for some reason it felt a little like I got 2 points, 2 key points there that were a bit equal in like star billing, which is Ben had the strong bonding connection for these reasons, and then also Ben has not had a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy, so I kind of got my take.
Yeah, and that's, I guess that's why it was important to me, is because I didn't, you know, wasn't, because like, if I did have more of those connections, then I may not have, you know, I may not have created a beat like dedicated just to that. You know what I mean?
Okay, can I ask
So
a
it's,
question? Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Could you take that sentence and keep the what you said on it, and don't change that at all necessarily, but actually put it earlier in the beat?
Yeah, I think I could probably do that.
Okay, I think that would actually fold it in for me.
Yeah, that way it doesn't kind of end on that note. It's kind of like, it's more embedded somewhere.
Yeah, and then because it does feel like there's a drive there, and like, oh, it's the drive of this arc. I get you.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah.
That way,
let's make
that way, all the basic core content is still the same, but a lot of times in editing, sequence of things can change a lot.
Yeah, because then it kind of has a different note to it. It's kind of for a bit of a different, like it's still saying the same thing, but it's in like has like a different purpose to the beat.
Yeah.
It's more like a supporting sentence than a like, this is where we're ending on, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
What's next?
So this gets into school, and then the first one is on the social aspect of school. I was pretty outgoing in my earliest school days back in Arizona. Sure, I drifted a lot, but I was all around here, I'm gonna delete a couple words here. But all around, most people saw me as a very polite, goofy kid. It was harder to meet people once I got to Minnesota, partially because I didn't know anyone, but I think the main reason is that my attitude towards people changed. I began to find it to be more comfortable and easier to just not get involved out of fear of what people would think, but also knowing that there are many things that I could do on my own at home and that I wouldn't need other people for. I spent a lot of time ghost walking, but people watching, always with a perspective of what others were doing, but also in my own world doing the things I like to do with my spirits. And then I said spirits here. Maybe I want to say something else, or I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was
Or
thinking.
maybe,
I was thinking about that. I actually think this might be okay. Use two words I was thinking about, but they are actually words that are known already. So spirits, I think if you feel comfortable saying it, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. People know what that means. The different faiths and different ideologies have that concept. So I don't think that just marks you as a spiritual person.
Yeah, that's true.
Fine.
I mean, people are gonna have a sense of what I mean by that. That's true.
Yeah, so exactly. So it's not like a new word or concept. And then same thing with ghost walking. I think ghost walking or the term ghosting, people know what that means. It has a popular kind of like urban definition to it, so to speak. So I think those words are fine.
Cool.
Do you have one? You said you have one more about school.
Yep.
How about you do that, and then Mitchell, we'll go over to you for like 2 of your beats. Does that sound good?
Actually, I do have another one about school, but it's not actually in the next beat. It's one that's related to like the social aspect of school. That's like another friend's beat, basically. So
is this a good pause point, or do you feel?
I think it's a good pause point.
Okay, Mitchell, do you want to share some what you have?
Sure, I can do that. Got it there.
Yeah, I think it's good to kind of take breaks, like from doing the.
Yeah.
That way, I'm not. I'm kind of weaving my way into it.
Right. Yeah. Also for two reasons. One is that the other people who are here, like Mitchell, may kind of like after a while kind of fade. You need to kind of jump in and make sure you get some of the mat time, so to speak, as well to keep you engaged. But then also for yourself, Ben, is it you're kind of like really going over your beat again. So you're looking for what can be different, and so that takes a lot of like artistic energy. So it's good to actually kind of flex that, kind of like emoji reading, and then actually take a little breather and let someone else go while you kind of let yourself mull, because you need like mulling time. All right, go ahead, Mitchell.
Right then. So I guess I'll just do the first two. So I guess, from my earliest memories, my most pervasive feeling has been an incessant fanatical drive to understand existence all the way out to its most beautiful, exotic reaches and strangest nooks, developing eclectic, encyclopedic stores of knowledge in the process. Even cars provided a window into people's soul for me as a young lad. Just by looking at someone's keys, I could identify the car they drove, which gave you much information about their tastes, prestige, social class, etc. Far more alluring for me were the yawning depths of the void and all its uncanny inhabitants, the dancing coronas of stars, red giants, blue giants, gamma-ray bursting pulsars, the scorched plains of Mercury, the frost-strewn rainbows of Saturn, the airy blues of Neptune, the mind, space, and light-bending properties of black holes, and so on. I memorized all the moons of the planets, the distances from the sun of assorted astronomical objects, their length of orbit. And at recess during elementary school, I would travel around the universe as different planets, imagined as a collective family, encountering new galaxies and objects and wondering what the very limits of the universe were. Thoughts like these naturally gave in to a fascination with death and possibilities of existence in this world, which caused me to study natural disasters like tornadoes, earthquakes, and hurricanes. I would love to collect and flip through graphical books on these subjects, transfixed by the sublime and grotesque horrors wrought by Mother Nature.
That is your first beat?
That is my first beat.
Good.
Do you want to hear the next one?
Yes, please.
All right. Editing it as I'm going. My aesthetic sense eventually grew to have a taste for the treasures of this planet. I was especially partial to exotic gems like diamonds, sapphires, and amethysts, which I would delight in comparing in terms of preciousness, durability, color, and structural properties. There was something wonderfully subtle and counterintuitive to me in that gems so precious could be simultaneously so durable and powerful. And nowadays, diamonds are being used to effect the first physical realizations of quantum computers based on the universal quantum Turing machine model, since they protect its hypersensitive processes from the phenomenon of decoherence ubiquitous to quantum systems. Similarly, I am a collector of knowledge, of rare beauty, and of understanding. And my most current collection is my internet system, on the order of 1,000 tabs, which I can navigate competently, and contains a wealth of utterly fascinating papers, blogs, and articles written by people like me in the trenches on a quest to understand the universe.
Nice.
All right. Well, those are the first two.
Got it. Good. Do you want to do the other two now?
I can, if you want me to just do the other ones, or if you want Ben to continue and I can get back to those later.
Okay, we'll do it like that then. Ben?
Okay, yeah, sure, sounds good. All right.
One thing, a reason I paused there, Mitchell, but I decided, I think, is you used the word trenches, which I thought was a great word. In my mind, when trenches was linked up to, how does the sentence end?
On a quest to understand the universe.
You don't have to do anything with this, but I will say that my nigh, kind of with the zai, when I heard the word trenches, and then I heard quest to understand the universe, I felt a little like I was expecting something that didn't happen, and I kind of asked my zai, what was it? The word trenches made me think that there would be some challenge to the quest, or something. You mean like that? You mean because that trenches, and I like the word trenches, like a strong word.
Yeah, I think what I was going for there, as far as the feel, I don't know if I did it consciously, because it's often how art works, is you'll just sort of feel something out. But I think what I was going for there is just that sort of feeling, like we're like at like the dig site, like it's hard work and very dedicated.
Oh yeah, dig site, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I had in mind.
And that relates to the gems too and stuff.
It does.
Oh, yes. Yeah, so I don't know how you want to do that, but I think that
I wasn't what I had in mind, but it does. Yeah.
I think it could really work. And with the trench thing, I think you could kind of play it, because that was a strong word, and I kind of felt like a ride off that.
Yeah, yeah, because like the dig site is a very like collector kind of thing. I mean, I mean, it's basically people they go. I mean, you're digging up objects and collecting them and so forth. And
it that element in, but also simultaneously brings in the element which I was looking for too, which is that sounds like going first. Do you know what I mean? That has that, like, first in,
yes,
at the breach kind of quality, like trenches and making a breach.
Just, we're like fanatics, like we're just dedicated. We want to be on the front lines.
Front lines, exactly. See, that connects to that trench thing. It connects the front lines thing, and like he said, like the.
We're not going to wait for the information to come to us.
Yeah,
that's the point.
So yeah, that's great. Okay, cool. Ben.
Nice. All right. So this is like Friends in Minnesota beat. I met Jared, I think, in 4th grade, around halfway through the school year or so. At first, we just laughed and joked about stuff, but eventually we got into conversations about games and went over to each other's houses and so forth. And then he introduced me to some of his friends, and all of a sudden I had a small group of friends that I could talk to and bond with. We were into all sorts of different games, music, etc. It was invaluable to have people I could share what I was into with.
I like it. The one thing I was wanting a little on, I kind of felt a tug when you said invaluable. Could you give me just like a couple words of what that invaluable was? Like just like a vague tone of what you're talking about would be good. You know, kind of invaluable felt like this like psychic like bounty. I was curious like just something what you meant by that. How is invaluable for your development, for your sense of contentment? Discovering yourself, or you mean like for feeling a sense of home? Anything at all? I was curious, what was it?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably like all of those things.
Okay. No,
But
cool.
I guess I can just pick one and talk about it. I guess I don't know. I can just use that.
Or you can just say like it's invaluable to my soul, or it's invaluable to my well-being.
Yeah. So just to I guess make it sound a little more descriptive and.
Yeah, and just see like I mean, because invaluable. What word you choose says a lot about you. Like
Okay.
invaluable to my development and well-being or development or this or that. Like that says a bit more about you.
Yeah. I'll say that. That's a very holistic thing. I'll say invaluable to my development. Because that feels very holistic. Because I think because like yeah, or my soul or whatever. But I think development's a good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
But that says something about you that you consider is things that help your self-development to be a bounty. That says a good something about you, which is true.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, so now I get into gaming. I spent countless hours playing role-playing games when I was younger, sometimes about always getting the next step or the next level was very motivational for me because of the implications of where that might take me in a massive world with so much to do. My imagination about what I could do in video games was totally out of the scope of reality. I was very imaginative, as I didn't have much of a sense of the limitations of video games and the real costs and factors that would cause a game to not literally have everything that one could hope and dream of. But I thoroughly enjoyed and learned a lot about life and the human condition through this imaginative exploration of these worlds and leveling systems. I developed a stronger connection to Baudelaire through playing these role-playing games.
I like it. Nice.
Nice. My friends in Minnesota in around 5th grade were really into an extremely popular browser MMO game called RuneScape. The game is very repetitive in terms of controls and gameplay, but makes up for this by including a massive character sheet of around 25 skills, each of which typically take people several months to master. I spent a good 153 days of my life playing on my main account alone, with the sheer escapist immersion I had in my childhood and early teens, exploring this massive online world and finding all of the different things to do in it. As games often do, RuneScape has given me invaluable written communication and technical problem-solving skills, as well as a fascination and love for open worlds, fantasy, and role-playing that I may not otherwise have to the degree that I do now.
Nice.
I spent a lot of time hacking when I was younger, especially entering cheat codes in video games, as well as modifying emulated games on the computer. I absolutely love to playfully experiment with the limitations of video games and the hidden joy of finding a secret hole or entrance somewhere that the creators would never expect you to be able to find under normal circumstances. I had a lot of fun finding and making games out of unintended holes and avenues in the system. This taught me a lot about programming, as well as gave me an activity to flex my creative spirit and muscles on.
Yeah, good.
I've always enjoyed the unexpected nature of playing games. If a game is played for too long without variance in outcomes, the game becomes boring for me rather quickly. This is closely related to how events happen in nature, and that action should make sense and correlate with success, but should also be wildly unpredictable, so one can also seek new and interesting improvements and developments. I'm very fond of the unexpected in life and games. So here I actually don't say what the beat. I actually do say what's about, the unexpected nature of playing games. But it's kind of funny because there's actually a direct meaning to this that I don't actually explicitly mention. And that's like the random, they call it random number generation.
Right.
But it's kind of funny that I didn't say that in the beat, but it also gets the message across, so it's kind of.
Do you think it would add to put that in there?
I'm not entirely sure because that kind of sounds kind of like a technical thing. I kind of like how it doesn't necessarily say that.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Cool.
It might actually make it more relatable to certain groups of people, but I think in general it doesn't. Like either way, I think people are gonna, people who are more into gaming and know what that means are going to know what I'm talking about, and people who are less familiar are also going to know what I'm talking about. So I think it's good.
And this is initial kind of get to know you kind of stuff, so that it's good to err on that side of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
We'll do like a couple more here, and then we'll go back to Mitchell. And then Mitchell, I have Shailene here, so we can actually discuss a little bit about what you want to do with the Shiny ebook and how we can kind of give you stewardship for that, and then give support.
Okay.
Sound good?
Sure.
Cool.
Besides playing games, I also spent a lot of time watching anime as a kid, and still watch it to this day. I didn't watch much TV growing up besides childhood cartoons, but I enjoyed anime because it was so violent and creative and unpolitically correct in so many different ways. It has taught me a lot about the shiny baby and my other through the major theme of finding a sense of universal love in Japanese anime. The teenage/young adult romance and the speculatively depictions of Niji's male and female characters. And I didn't actually explain what Nijez is, and I still have to do that for this beat.
You say something like, which is a kind of life partner pairing.
Yeah, I think that's good. Then the next beat is on my other. Throughout my life, my other and I have always been close. Although I have only more recently become aware of this, as I have become aware of the Mojo phenomenon and Pod Layer. Although I don't typically hear much.
I'm sorry, real quick.
What? Sorry.
How did you define other?
I don't think I defined other, no.
Okay, so that I was sort of waiting for that. I think a person might also do that. They would hear that, and then they would be wondering what that is as you kept talking. So maybe I think that's something that we wanted to add. Remember, I think for words like other.
I didn't write anything down. Maybe I just forgot to take notes on that. But I can write something down to fix it.
Yeah.
I guess explain what other is, or
yeah, it could. You could call
I mean,
it.
I kind of said like a kind of life partner pairing, so I could kind of use that like in the previous beat, so I can kind of use that here. Something similar, I suppose, maybe.
Right. You could just say you're unconscious genius, or
yeah.
your.
I guess that's an easy change. Yeah.
I guess a vague idea, which is true. In the
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, it's a little tricky because like other, like if someone already knew what that was, it would be kind of easier to explain the significance of like the following sentences and why, like, because it, yeah. I'll just go through the whole thing and I'll, we can talk about how it sounds and stuff. But throughout my life, my unconscious genius and I have always been quite close. Although I have only more recently become aware of this as I have become aware of the motor phenomenon and Podlair. Although I don't typically hear much in terms of words from her, she typically likes to playfully say, short little, like approval, disapproval kind of words, like yeah, no, or sometimes she'll even say a combination, like yeah, which also sounds kind of like a cat. So it's as well as fill me with incredible amount of energy and make cute noises. In fact, she's basically the epitome of cuteness, a magical kitty cat. She loves to tease and play games with me.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, because like, I guess the only thing about unconscious genius is it doesn't really say like what kind of relationship it is, whereas other it's sort of implied. But
you could say unconscious genius. You could say inspiration. You could say muse. Some of those things might have.
And I also say, like, I say my unconscious genius and I have always been quite close. I could go, like, I could explain what that connection is a little bit in a couple words. Possibly.
I like that right there. And then at the end, how the sentence end?
Oh, the beat, you mean, or
yes.
Or that sentence? Oh, the beat. Okay. She loves to tease and play games with me.
I like it. I'm wondering if perhaps there might be kind of like a union, because that's what her role with you. Would it be okay to say while I'm on my life adventures or on my life quests or something like that? Like what you are in this equation, because that's what she does. What do you do?
Okay.
Do you mean it's something simple as that, like saying like, she teases and plays with me like a kitten while I'm on while we're on our adventures together, like that. That could be bring it together.
I think that's a good example. Yeah.
Perfect. Nice.
Yeah. Because yeah, I mean, I'm talking about my other, but I'm also talking about like the connection or the relationship. So, so.
Excellent. Okay. We'll do another one.
Sure. I got into YouTube in 2006 to 2007, around that time. About the same time, I was really getting into RuneScape. I was really into watching other people play video games, RuneScape as well as many others, which expanded my media virtual village a great deal as I became familiar with all sorts of different people and music. This gave me entertainment value in exploring all the different ongoings of the internet within the media areas that I was interested in, notably gaming. This helped me segue into expanding my virtual village even further into other areas using YouTube and other internet databases. I enjoyed it because it was fun to ghost walk and the unexpected nature of watching other people play was very interesting to me, I should say. Otherwise, it's a kind of a...
Yeah, good. Nice.
Otherwise, it's kind of a... It's like a trailing fragment. It's like a fragment that doesn't actually have an ending. It's just like... Yeah. But yeah. Do I want to do some more, or?
Let's look at that one's pretty fast. Yeah, why don't you go? We have 5 minutes. Go ahead until then. At 7, I'm going to turn over to Mitchell. We'll do his beats, and then talk with Eileen about the Shiny ebook and such.
Sure, that sounds good. As time went on, especially due to the suggested videos feature on YouTube, I became more familiar with internet culture in general, branched out to other forums and areas besides YouTube. This includes politics, atheism, typology, music, anime, and many others. In short, my connection to YouTube gave me an avenue to search the web for other forms of media, which gave me a knowledge base that I could eventually channel into Podlayer. In fact, the very way in which I came across Podlayer was on YouTube. This is a beat that could probably go multiple places. I have it right next to YouTube here. I could also put it right next to typology quite easily.
Yeah, I think you go either way. One thing I'm thinking is you've mentioned Podlayer. That's another unique word. So I think we need to give a short thing for that. So how about Human Qualia Research Project? That's probably the simplest way to describe it to a new person.
Okay, yeah. Should I say my Human Quality Research Project?
Yeah,
I guess to indicate like the group I'm part of, or
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That way, it gives them a little idea of what that is.
Yeah.
Cool.
Part of it.
Well, hey, Shannon. In a few minutes, we talked to Mitchell about the Jaime ebook. He's going to be taking over doing that, but we'll give him some support and kind of talk about how that will go.
That's great.
Sound good? So about 15 minutes?
Yep.
Cool.
The aftermath of my move from Minnesota to Michigan was a pretty dull and lonely part of my life for me. I did make some friends in Michigan prior to becoming Podlayer, but very few could be considered close, and none who were really close. I had much more trouble making friends after moving from Minnesota to Michigan between 7th and 8th grade than I had when I moved from Arizona to Minnesota in the 3rd grade. I became better at having casual friendships with people, worse at developing close friendships. I would go to school, go home, stare into space for 10 minutes, and then play video games every single day until I joined debate. And then the next beat is basically it gets into like the area surrounding debate, which was the academic aspect of school, in the following beat.
Two things. One is at the end where you say until debate, that's a bit sharp.
Mm-hmm.
If you could just add a little fragment like would change things dramatically. It's still very vague. It still goes a nice handoff, but it's a little dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
this whole, like the it's kind of yeah, it kind of eases the beat out a little bit, kind of like the fade in and fade out at
Yeah, exactly.
at the start and end of videos. Yep.
Then what else? Whatever you choose to say is fine, but I am curious if you meant this exactly. You're saying you got worse at was the turn of phrase, right? There's also another.
I'm sorry, I'm kind of what do you mean?
You used the phrase or something like it of got worse at got better at casual, got worse at close friendships, right?
Yeah.
Curious, and whatever you say is fine, but I am curious, did you actually get worse or was it harder? Those are related to two different things. Because you could go to a place where it's just not as conducive, or the kinds of friends that you had before weren't there, in which case it would be harder, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you got worse at doing that.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, I'm not entirely sure if it was my environment or if it was me. I guess I felt like it was just me. You know, I just became worse at it, but I'm not entirely sure. I think I was. I don't know. It's complicated.
So you mind? I'm curious. Would you mind actually saying you found it more challenging, because then it doesn't say what caused it, the environment, or you getting worse at it. It just says it was more challenging. Since you're not sure.
I think that it's good to. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool.
So let's see here.
Excellent. Is it cool to hand off to Mitchell now?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, cool beans. Mitchell.
Okay. These are my last two beats. These are totally new. You never heard these before. You heard the first two before, although they might have been edited a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Did at one point was that one beat?
that was one beat.
It was a mega beat.
Yeah, it was a
No.
mega beat, and we got split into it now.
Yeah, it actually makes two very nice beats.
So yeah, these two, I think, are pretty good length. All right. I guess we'll see. So first one. Eventually, my mind came to know the power of fantasy, and it was henceforth never to be deprived of fascinating material, and ever to be preoccupied with it.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite make out what you said the last
Let
phrase.
me just start over. I had to edit it. That's why. I just had to write these like a few hours ago. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, no worries. That's great.
Not as edited as they could be. Anyway, eventually my mind came to know the power of fantasy, and it was henceforth never to be deprived of fascinating material, and ever to be preoccupied with it. I was enchanted by the magic of Disney fairy tales, collecting my favorite magical or delightfully sinister characters. I immersed myself in the profuse variety embedded in the Mario franchise, collecting minigames, characters, race courses, and rare and powerful artifacts that were key to traversing the bleakest boss battles. The world of Pokemon was a veritable paradise for me. It contained an endless variety of information to collect, customize, and memorize in a way that could be fun, while also serving a strategic purpose. My collecting activities floated off into the forest of abstractions, where I could get lost from my boring family life, insufferable schoolwork, anything. I became a connoisseur of the imagination, and I built and participated in many worlds alongside my dearest friends. We delved deeply into the Latin and Aramaic roots of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter spells, fought with the fury of the Power Rangers. My knowledge often put me in the position of a game master or GM. We even created entirely novel imaginative worlds, stretching from the dawn of time, in which spells had inverted spellings, and cities were named after girls we found attractive.
That's awesome. Nice.
One edit that I needed to make. I can't remember what it was. Sounds. Put me. There it was. All right. The world that remains closest to my heart, even as I have grown up, is Star Wars. My cousin introduced me to it, but my interest quickly outstripped something a normal person could keep pace with. The space opera introduced by the 6 original films was only a gateway drug for me. What truly sunk its hooks into me was the novels, video games, and role-playing books, which comprise perhaps the most epic mythos I am familiar with. It combines all of my loves: technological monstrosities, the farthest reaches of space and comprehension, diversity of character, believable villains, and a magical force that connects and relates all things. Disney now owns the rights to Star Wars, but many hardcore fans like myself take the combination of the canonical Disney timeline and the more inclusive Legends continuity to comprise a worthy patchwork of stories told by many together, containing more wisdom than I could ever hope to form. Star Wars is a relational cosmos of its own, evolving as surely as our own, and I am especially fond of the Jedi and the Sith. The Jedi taught me restraint, clarity of mind, and how to live and flow with the universe, and the Sith taught me the glamour of the sinister, ambition, and how to turn the darkness to my advantage. Star Wars is a marriage of twain ultimate frontiers, a journey to the outer edges of the universe, and an exploration of utmost capabilities of the mind and self-mastery. This marriage is etched in my heart, translating into my own quest to understand the universe, consciousness, how they relate, and what we're supposed to do about that. I could use a little bit of editing, but that's okay.
Yeah. Two things that came to my mind. One is with the Jedi and the Sith. It could be interpreted that you have sort of like you want to be equal parts dark and light. Is that what you want to communicate?
I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm equal parts dark and light. I mean, I, in reality, view the Jedi and Sith both as flawed ideologies, but I
Okay.
guess I was just trying to say, like, I could certainly modify that. I don't know. I'll think about it.
I'm curious. Not that you have to. I just wanted you to know sort of how I was trying to like be a lay person, like figure be that person.
Who like knew Star Wars and they would think I'm like half Darksider and half Lightside.
Yeah, exactly. So because if a person who doesn't know you, because obviously I know you, so I
could add something about that because actually, way I approach it really with some of my friends is that we created this in between force group called the Twilight. So I could mention something about that.
Okay.
Without making it too long.
Yeah, you can do that, or you can also add a word or two around the dark side thing to kind of give it its secondary importance, or you can do the Twilight or anything like that. But
yeah, I kind of like the Twilight because I really do view the Jedi and the Sith as both pretty much irredeemably flawed.
Okay, then you can
I learned stuff from them. Yeah.
Yes, you can put that in there that they're both irredeemably flawed, and that helps me understand.
Yeah.
Like philosophically, when you said that, I was wondering, like, is he a half and half?
Yeah, I know the Sith are more associated with the dark side, but it's complicated.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just a little bit of what that means to you would be good. The other thing I was wondering is, do you need the end of one of those sentences that said, because the sentence itself sounded great, but then one thing at the end to me sounded slightly, just me personally, maybe I have a large ego and I have a very high opinion of yourself, that you could never hope to do. It seemed a little overly self-deferential to me.
Which one?
The wisdom you gain from this world, and then that's all sounded great. And then the sentence ended with like more wisdom than I could ever do, or something, or I could ever hope.
Yeah.
Well, to me, right there, it seems a little contradictory with the fact that you have synthesized a better understanding with corrections for both Jedi and Sith. Those two sentiments sound a bit cross to me, and actually, it sounds to me like you have to. I don't know if you actually need to say that. It just means your friend, kind of like bragging on you. I personally don't think that fragment needs to be there.
Yeah, I guess what I was thinking about there is, I guess maybe it's not the universe itself. Maybe it's just the insights I've got in this growing, expanding body of knowledge. I don't think I'm ever gonna like get a flow cut off from
Right.
that. Like it will never end. But
Okay.
I guess, yeah, it doesn't necessarily need to sound like it's intraversible or something.
Yeah, because the way it sounded a bit self-deferential. But I, from what I know of you, I don't think that's quite necessary. Because I think your critique, for example, of it, I look forward to hearing it. Because like I'm pretty sure you have a pretty well thought out things to say on that. Also, it could be perceived as if this was a well of wisdom that is sort of like the one that has your full takeaway. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's definitely not good.
So, but you could, so just throwing out there. But yeah. So those are the two beats?
Yeah. Yep.
Very nice. Excellent. Okay. We'll go ahead and end the hangout then, but we'll stay, with the live, then we'll stay on here. Okay, so see you later, world.
I will.